So welcome back. The fifth limb that Patanjali talks about is known as Pratyahara, which is the act of withdrawing the senses. Now, we've talked about sitting properly, and the next one was breathing properly, so that our breath is smooth. So now we go a little further and we continue to focus on the breath. Breathing in, breathing out. And as we do it, we begin to shut down the senses. So what is shutting down the senses? It's something that you have to learn to experience for yourself. It's that time when, as you're breathing slowly, you're feeling the energy, the pran and the pranayama, and then you feel it going within. I don't mean closing the eyes. I don't mean shutting the ears, shutting off your taste, your touch, your smell. You can't wrap yourself in duct tape and say that you've withdrawn the senses. It's a mental process of withdrawing the senses. And that's what the subtlety is here, is that we've gone from focusing on the breath as being an external thing, focusing on the energy, which becomes an internal thing. And then as we do that, we withdraw from the other senses. So we're not alert to all the movement that's going on around us and the noises of the traffic that's going on around us and the smell of the garlic, and etc., etc. Each of the senses can have thoughts, because basically the senses are the inputs to the mind. So each sense can generate thought. And as we generate thought, what happens? The mind begins to think. It moves from that thought to the next thought and moves on and on and on. But as we withdraw the senses by focusing on the breath, each of the senses starts to go inwards and withdraw. And the thoughts become less and less, because the inputs for those thoughts are less and less. That's why focusing on the breath is so important, because it's something we have to do. It's something that we do regardless. But also, we do it without thinking. Imagine that you had to think about every breath. You wouldn't have time for anything else. So we learn to breathe without having to think about breathing. So we're retraining the mind. We're saying, because you see things around, you don't have to comment on everything you see. You don't have to comment internally the thoughts on everything you smell, everything you touch. Withdraw those senses and move inwards, and the thoughts will begin to shut themselves off. I know a lot of people who begin meditating say, I can't meditate because I can't shut the thoughts off. Well, thank goodness you're normal. So over time, as we focus on the breath, and withdraw inwards, we shut down the senses, and the thoughts. So be well, be happy.